And welcome to this Dialogue Extra. I'm Marcia Franklin, and I'm continuing my discussion with Justin Skisik and Patrick Gray. They both walked and pushed and pulled through the 500-mile Camino de Santiago in Spain. They also have a business together called Disabled Traveler.
The Disabled Traveler, correct.
Yes. And so I wanted to take some additional time to talk with you about what you do and some tips for people with disabilities and their friends and family who would like to travel, maybe not do something like the Camino. Actually, I think were you the first to do this 500 miles in the...
As far as we're aware of, yes. It has never been documented by any before that. I don't know.
There were some other people, you saw a woman, I believe, with multiple sclerosis, but she's on the highway portion of it mostly,
the bike
right?
route.
Not the rocky trail.
Yeah,
that
she
traversed.
did. I'm not bagging on her at all because she was amazing.
She's awesome.
Just logistically, she couldn't. She was in a power chair, so she couldn't hit the trail. There's no way she could get her on the trail, so she had to work away as much as she could.
She didn't have somebody who was going to...
But, kudos to her. She was amazing.
Yeah.
We got to sit down and talk with her and her husband.
But for people who don't want to do something that intense, obviously there's still lots of opportunities. And you have a great ebook on your site that we'll link to that I found informative as well.
Oh, thanks.
With tips. Let's go through some of them. Let's talk first of all broadly, because what I got out of it when I read it were some broad precepts for people that I think apply whether you have a disability or not. And first is your mindset going in. You are going to, all of us are going to encounter difficulties nowadays traveling, but particularly if you have a disability, you need to be prepared and go into it with a certain type of mindset, yes?
That's true. Traveling with limited mobility, that's where our expertise is traveling with limited mobility. So, somebody who might have vision challenges or hearing might have a little bit of a different story, but so I just want to be clear on that. But yeah, on the mindset, it's very important to understand that it's going to be rough. It's never perfect. It never is. I've traveled a lot, and Pat's been with me many of those journeys, and we've had many experiences and challenges.
Did not go as planned.
But mindset, it's if you just one of my things is if you expect road bumps, when those road bumps come, it makes it a lot easier to navigate because you're already expecting it. It's never this crazy surprise that's just going to come out of nowhere. It may seem like that, but if you prepare for it, then when they come, you can navigate them. And then also having the knowledge and the knowing what your rights are within America. Outside the United States is a little bit more difficult, but knowing what your rights are will also help you immensely when it comes into kind of navigating challenges. And just to kind of get in, it's just trial and error. The more that you do it, the more confident you become, and the better you get.
And so. You have left your former job, right, and worked together because you believe so much in this burgeoning field, really.
It's a pretty new area. It's a market that hasn't had a lot of exposure, honestly. It's a growing market. And I don't know, we've talked about working together for the past, 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Aggressively for the past 3, but with Justin in San Diego for a while and me here, working together wasn't really an option. And just with the journey through Spain and my healthcare background and seeing the increasing need for education as well as just design aspects of accessibility in the healthcare market, just kind of seemed like, maybe it's time to join forces. And so, back in January of 2015,
this year,
said goodbye to St. Luke's and dove straight in.
He's jumping in with
so
us.
Your services, you help people with the planning portion?
Correct.
You're not a travel agency. You're
No.
not booking the trip for them.
So that was when I started the Disabled Traveler 2010-ish, so way before Pat and I started when we joined forces. I'll talk about what we do since Pat has joined me. But when I started, I was towards the tail end of my design career, and I was really doing some soul searching on trying to figure out what would I do next. I say this all the time, I felt like I was born to be a designer. That's just how I was made. I see life through the creative lens. And I was really trying to figure that out. And a friend of mine said, hey, why don't you help, you love to travel, why don't you help, people with disabilities learn how to travel? And I was like, that's a good idea, but I didn't quite know what that meant. Would I be a travel agent? Would I tell them where to go in the world or whatever? And it took me a little bit to figure that out, but what I ended up landing on was there was this huge disconnect between the individual at home and their end destination, wherever that is. And I'm not going to tell them where to go. Yes, there's lots of resources that are out there that are great that will tell you, this place is better than others, but what I saw was a huge lacking or a huge void in getting the right tools and the right resources for the disabled person at home, and give them the the knowledge and the skill set and the mindset to go out and travel. And
so would people hire you to help them know what questions to ask? Well,
yeah. So what I did was we put together, Pat helped me do this, we put together an online training course. It's called Access Travel Academy. It's just, you can probably put a resource on your website if you'd like, or it's through our website as well, Disabled Traveler. And what it does is it's a video base. It teaches you from ground zero through how to become an expert traveler. It's 10 modules. It's all video based and has downloadable worksheets to kind of work through, and it just takes you through the entire process of how to travel. So that's where we started. And then I did that for quite some time, and then
4 years. Yeah,
4 years. And then Pat, when we were finally joining forces earlier this year, we really sat down, and Pat brings a wide variety of expertise that I was lacking. Not only do we know each other very well, but Pat has expertise within healthcare. He's, like he said, he did education for a while before he went into healthcare, so he's got an educational background. He also has an RN, so he was a bedside nurse for a while, so he's got an RN degree, and then he went to administration, so he has an administration level. And he just balanced me well, and we kind of sat down and we like, okay, well, here's what I've been doing. What could we do together to really make this thing sing
and kind of increase the reach?
So the challenges at that point were, when I was getting people out to travel, where I found another disconnect were organizations on how to best receive people with disabilities. So like a hotel, right? Or, I can get people out to travel, but if they can't be received well,
so you consult with the end.
Yeah.
So what happened is that definitely the healthcare or the hospitality piece was something that's like, there's a need there. But we started to really look at the market research and try to figure out what kind of representation there is the disabled community in the United States alone, and it's astounding. I mean, we have 19% of our population fits that it falls in that category of being disabled, and it's the fastest growing minority in the world, actually.
It's about 60 million?
It depends on the studies, but right now they're saying about 60 million individuals in the U.S. alone, and 92% of those are 18 or older. So individuals who can make a decision either about whether they're going to travel, and then we thought, wait a minute, also they can make decisions about their health care. So that's really was kind of the focus of the new side of the disabled traveler, was the B2B side, the businesses. How do we equip a healthcare institution or a hospitality focus like a hotel or a resort, that entity to receive their patrons well? And it goes from etiquette, how do you engage that population without being offensive? Because there's some things that you can say that you don't know can be highly offensive. How do you design well? So with Justin's design background, my healthcare background, we work with architects to give them the perspective of, it's not about just meeting ADA guidelines. How do you create an environment that's inviting, that's an experiential plus for the individuals that, don't have the same, typically the same access points in buildings and whatnot that people who aren't in a wheelchair do?
Well, one of the things that's very striking in your documentary, I'll push you, in the footage that I've seen, is the accessibility that we take for granted now in places like hotels was non-existent. I mean, it was just painful at times to look at you trying to, even in a place that was, better than a typical place, trying to navigate your wheelchair in there. And you should not expect when you travel the same level of accessibility.
No.
Anyway, I mean, there's a international convention on this, but a lot of countries haven't signed, and in fact, the United States hasn't signed it.
And even the ones who have signed haven't done anything about it yet.
Right.
So.
Right. So let's go through a couple tips, though, for travelers, because I thought they were very good. If you haven't traveled, I think you recommend to just do a staycation first. Just try it out. If you're nervous about it, pick a hotel close to home. Which I thought was a great idea.
Thanks. And the reason why that, I usually lead off with that, especially if, like you said, if there's somebody that's never traveled before, maybe they have kind of traveled and they've had a bad experience and trying to get reacclimated with how to get out there. And the reason why that's a great step, or I believe it's a great step, is because you're not far from home, so you're within proximity of your home, and then if it becomes too rough, you can always go home, right? So that way you can just kind of start putting your feet in the water and trying to figure it out, and then it's just a really, really great to kind of way to get started. But the other thing about it is that the more that you do that type of stuff, the more comfortable you become. People with disabilities at home, they know their environment. They live in their environment, and they're comfortable in that environment. I'm the same way. I mean, I know exactly how my home works. I know exactly where things are when I need to use the restroom and do those types of things. And when you're uprooted out of that environment and placed into a new one, it can be quite difficult. So starting small is always by far the best starting point. Kind of in conjunction with that, if you want to venture out a little bit bigger, taking a couple-day cruise is always really good too, because you're not moving as much. You just get on the boat, and
the boats are accessible.
The boats are accessible. Cruise liners, cruise industry in general has done far above and beyond usually general accessibility requirements, even though they're not really required to. So they understand, because they know that if they help as many people as they can, it's more revenue for them. So it's a business model. So it makes sense. But it's a really, really great opportunity to take a short cruise. You're stationary. You can kind of get out there, explore, and then come back.
Of course, if you are going to go on a cruise, you generally have to take an airplane to that cruise line, and you have some tips in there about making sure you're as comfortable as possible on the airplane, and knowing your rights, as you said, because we've seen some pretty publicized cases recently because of the ability to record these things with cell phones, of people with disabilities literally having to crawl down an aisle of an airplane because nobody has come to get them to get off the airplane.
Right.
So
where do you want me to start with that one?
That's a loaded question.
Well, I know that you have the sense that people need to kind of unpack those videos a little bit and make sure what's behind them and what actually happened.
Yeah.
But in point of fact, there can be a long time that you're waiting, because you are going to be the last.
First and last.
First on, last off. So to be prepared for that, in terms of going to the bathroom, not eating certain things that might upset your stomach.
Yeah.
You have these all listed in your ebook that we'll link to.
Yeah.
But
so flying just in general it's something that I come from the mindset that why try to swim upstream when you can just navigate the downstream? And hopefully this will make sense. Is the system it is the way that it is? We can't right now. The system, you can't change the system. There are advocacy groups working on try to make it a better system for people with disabilities specifically. But currently, when you fly, you just have to understand that it's going to take time. It's going to take more time than you think. and it's going to be an interesting process. And the more that I fly, I mean, I've flown all over the world, not all over the world, but many, many places around the world. Pat's been with me. We were just in Chicago last week and had a really uneventful flight over and back. It was really great.
Very smooth.
But then I've had the opposite. I've had my chair broken. I've had it. It's a very, very tough place to be in. I don't want that to discourage anybody, but there's a lot of challenges that come with flying. You're first on the plane. You're going to be last off the plane. There's no way you're going to make a connection in under an hour. So you need to give yourself, if you have a connection, you need to give yourself at least an hour. If you're flying internationally, at least 2 hours in between. You need to give yourself plenty of time prior to arrival, because you're going to be going through a different type of screening exercise than somebody just kind of walking through an X-ray if you're unable to walk. So I mean, there's lots of things to unpack with this conversation, but also knowing your rights is very, very important. So one of the greatest tips that I could probably pass on when it comes to that is when you fly, you're covered under the Air Carrier Act. It's your right as a person with a disability when you fly, and it's a federal guideline, and airlines have to adhere to it. So if somebody's interested in learning more about that, it's just Google the Air Carrier Act. And they could probably get some more information on, I think it's from the Department of Transportation. So there's some great online resources somebody could search on their rights. But if your wheelchair or your mobility device is broken, or if there's a major problem while you are in transit, the first thing you need to do is call the CRO. They're called the Complaints Resolutions Officer. Every airline has one. They're basically the head honcho of problems. And by law, if you call for them, they have to come and they have to help remedy the situation, because the worst thing you could do is just take off and say, oh yeah, this airline broke my wheelchair, blah, 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 and my wheelchair costs $30,000. So an airline's going to say, no, I'm not going to fix that if there's no record of it.
So even if you're going to miss your connection, find that CRO,
Absolutely.
that person,
CRO.
and say, I want to file this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And usually in those situations, you're probably going to be a little upset. I've been upset myself. I never take it out on the person, but what I do is, that it comes back to mindset again. It's just, the person's there to help kind of remedy the problem. It doesn't help to yell at them, doesn't help to curse at them, it doesn't help to do anything like that. My rule of thumb is when we travel is kill them with kindness. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate if something goes wrong. Really can't do anything about it. So just try to keep working through it and try to have a good attitude as much as you can. And then follow up with the proper procedures on that.
Yeah.
And we don't have a lot of time to go into another part that I found very interesting in your ebook, which is on the hotel side, making sure that before you book a room, that you go through all the questions ahead of time about accessibility, write them all down, their answers. Don't ask yes or no questions.
Right.
Let them explain what the room is. Even send photos, which I thought was interesting, because in fact you can get to the room, as we all do. You request a non-smoking room, you show up. Sometimes you walk in the room and oh my gosh, it smells like smoke. Same thing with a room with accessibility features. You can show up and you didn't get one, but you have this record and these photos of what you asked for. And I hadn't heard about the site Oyster, which is in your ebook, that kind of does some sleuthing for people about oyster.com. Is that what it is?
Oyster.com. There's it's a great resource if somebody wants to check that out. But one of the taking photos is a really, really great strategy, because cell phones nowadays, they can just snap it, they can text it to you, or they can do that. And if somebody's if you're asking those questions and somebody's at the not willing to do that for you, just ask for the head of housekeeping or the head of engineering. Basically, that's the person that's in charge of all of the housekeeping or the cleaning staff for the entire hotel.
They'll know.
And they will know, because they are in those rooms every day, all day long. So
when you talk about your work now with the hospitality industry and helping it understand not only how to communicate with people with disabilities, but to provide a welcoming atmosphere, what is the main kind of offense or a thing that you see could be ameliorated? Maybe it's something not that big, but what problems are you attacking?
Right, yeah. And I wouldn't say it's one specific problem. It varies based on the organization. I would say etiquette and just general awareness is probably the biggest piece as far as how to engage that population. That's probably the most effective thing that an organization can do initially, because there's a lot of fear for persons that, like a concierge, like I don't know how to, how do I address this individual who's got this wheelchair? I'm not sure what to say, so I don't say anything at all. And there's just a reservation that exists, and helping to alleviate that is just a huge step in the right direction. So now, as soon as they walk through the doors, they're received well. But I would say probably the biggest thing is just a complete disconnect on how big this population is, how many people actually are affected by this, and how many people actually want to travel. There's 25 million individuals that travel in the United States with a disability regularly. That's not a small number.
And outside of the country, if you were to advise, the hospitality industry, there's just not even the accessibility issues that we have here.
Where do
So
you
that's
start?
probably
Right.
It's just.
It's old
Is there a
communities.
chain of hotels that you think does a better job internationally than any other?
I don't think I'd feel comfortable answering that, because then it's all subjective,
Yeah.
right? It's
Right.
subjective. I mean, I have my personal preferences, but I don't really let when Pat and I travel, we don't really say, I'm going to go stay in this hotel because of that. Usually it's just, we kind of just throw ourselves into the mix, and let's just say, okay.
We'll pick it.
But fortunately, you have
try to do
somebody
as
who
much as we
can
can, yeah.
actually
Right.
pick you up.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of people don't, so they really do
Right.
have to find.
So when I travel with my wife, different story.
Yeah.
I have to do a lot more research. I have to ask a lot more questions. I go through the same process that I teach in the free ebook that's on our website. So, I would suggest if somebody is wanting to learn more about traveling, download it. It's like 30 pages long. So
39.
39.
I think.
There you go.
I
39
think.
pages. It's-
Somewhere between 36, 39.
I wrote it a little while ago, so it's like.
And in there also you have tips on some of the best books that people can read, because I think it's helpful if the book is actually written by somebody who has a disability and has
Right.
navigated these challenges.
Right. The challenges with books in some cases is that it can be outdated.
Yes.
Right.
Technology does change, and organizations
We have these
do
great
change.
apps now too.
But there's great apps. There's
Anything
and
you
there
want
are some really great resources. And I think the reason why we created Access Travel Academy was to augment really good travel books. Like Pat. Pat and I said we love Rick Steves, so I've used his. I think we've used his books
On pretty much every trip.
almost every major
But
trip
his
we've
book
taken.
Yeah.
that he
Yeah.
has about traveling with his disability is not necessarily one that you would have a call out to.
It's not my favorite. Sorry, Rick. But it's I think it was a valiant attempt.
Yeah.
But I think technology it needs to change, and that's why I kept Access Travel Academy on an online format, so it can
Sure.
change.
Sure.
So
Well, people can get
Yeah, that's-
recommendations for
yeah.
apps,
Yeah, right.
books,
books,
things
resources.
like that on that, and we will link to your site. Good luck with this. This is
Thank you.
a real up-and-coming industry, as you said, that numbers are there, and with so much more opportunity for people to travel,
Right.
it'll just continue to grow. So I appreciate you taking the time to
You bet.
stay after our main program and
Yeah.
talk a little bit about your business and some tips
It's our pleasure.
for people
Thank
traveling.
you. Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Sure. You've been listening to Justin Skisuk and Patrick Gray. They have a website called disabledtraveler.com. I'm Marsha Franklin. Thanks for tuning in to this Dialogue Extra.